Oh, my tea tastes different.
Funny that,
considering it different milk. You know, we're not wimps when it comes to our tea.
I get over here. I don't really like tea. Okay, a one, a two, a 1, 2, 3.
Hello!
Hiya!
And welcome back
To the SketchPad Pod.
Season 2,
Episode 4.
Whoa. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a very exciting episode because later on we're talking about, is art worth the price?
Yes.
But first,
we have what is called a Scrawlbox.
I know.
And shout out to my lovely friend Imogen, who is also a listener of this podcast.
Oh.
So basically, she gave me this as my birthday present. It is a mystery box of art supplies.
It's a subscription, so we've got 1 month,
Yeah.
haven't we?
Yeah. And so basically, I haven't opened it. Honor hasn't opened it. So we have no idea what's in here.
No.
But we're going to open it live on camera.
Ooh.
And we're going to see what's in here. We don't know if it's going to be like papers or like pens, mediums.
We've literally got no idea.
No clue.
And then we're going to use all or some of it to do the art for today.
we're going to share.
So I don't know what art we're doing today.
Yeah, I have
Absolutely
no idea. But hopefully it'll go well. We've got some extra like paper in case we need it.
For watchers, you'll see this. For listeners, we'll do our best to explain it.
To describe.
But I'll do a little compilation and put it on the Instagram page. So if you're listening, just head over, check it out, and then you'll know what we're talking about.
Yes. Okay. Shall I do the honours? Oh, honours.
No
The
pun
pun.
intended.
No pun
Shall I do
intended.
audio? Leisha opens the box.
Oh. She
Honor
tends to
didn't sellotape.
undo the sellotape on the sides of the box.
I failed.
She failed. Honor cuts the sellotape on the sides of the box.
I'm very excited. Also, obviously this is Leisha's because it was her present.
Da-da-da-da.
So we've got some art supplies wrapped in tissue
I
paper.
can see paint. Whoa, I was not
damn.
expecting paint. Oh, it's nice tissue paper, little sticker.
Sticker, very nice.
Open it up. Wow.
Ooh.
Okay.
So we got a lolly,
Who doesn't like a lolly?
a sticker. I love stickers. So the sticker is like a scribble of pen or paint.
Okay, what is this? Water mixable oil colour. Honor! This could be your first opportunity at using oil colours.
So we got white, perfect. We've got red slash
or
pink,
magenta.
and we got blue.
Blue. Cool.
Ooh.
And there's a little information box flyer that tells us all that we've got.
It's called Abstract Floral.
Yeah, nice.
The red. And we got a mini square canvas, which I
could
should
use that.
use.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
We've got
we've got
paintbrush
pencil.
and a pencil.
2B pencil, paintbrushes.
A little Scrawlbox card.
What's that? It says it's a palette knife card.
Oh.
So you can cut it.
Oh, so it looks like a credit card. It's the same material, and it's got like scissor marks across, like cut here type marks. I'll show it up to the camera, so you can have a different type of palette scraper.
That's cool. And then what's this under here? We have. Well, I don't know if this is meant to be used, but it's some nice. A nice little letter at the bottom. Featured artist Katie Jobling. I'm a UK-based artist who focuses on documenting life using paint and paintbrushes. Art can have such tremendous effects on our emotional well-being, and I'm really passionate about how art can uplift and inspire. I have a YouTube channel and blog where I aim to give an insight to my daily work life. Artist tips. With oils, always start with darker colours first. It's harder to go over white with dark colours, unlike acrylics.
Oh, that's interesting.
Don't use too much water, just enough to loosen the paint. Remember, drying times are much longer than other paints.
3 to 5 days.
Oh, and so maybe this is her like demonstrating using the colours. Do you think?
Oh, probably.
It's
Let's see.
It almost looks floral, but an abstract floral, one might say.
It looks like dashes of paint that look almost.
I guess
floral.
perhaps that's what I could do on the canvas, something similar.
Yeah.
what do you think you're going to do? You can use the paintbrushes. I have extra paint with me. Or you can try out the oil colours.
I'll probably... I feel like I need to use the oil colours.
Yeah.
I think I might just try and use these 3 colours, do like a limited palette type thing.
Well, shall we
take a short break and think of some ideas?
We'll prep our station and then we'll be right back.
Goodly.
Bye. And we're back.
We're back and we're better than ever.
Yes. So you can see our setup, it's changed a little bit because we had to adapt to what we had in our box.
So I'm going to use Leisha's sketchbook.
Paper, yeah. And I'm going to use this little square canvas that came in the box, and we're both going to use the mixable oil colours. So we've got white, magenta and ultramarine, and I think I'm going to try and base mine off the inspiration that the artist sent, because it's a square, mine's a square. It might be nice to do a little artist study.
Yeah, I'm thinking of doing a vase of flowers, because I've never used oil before.
Yeah.
Oil colours.
I've used it in a couple of episodes so far. I got some not that long ago, and I'm having a lot of fun experimenting with them, so this is nice for me too. So just more experimentation.
Lovely.
But it's good to know that to try and use the dark ones first.
I thought that was really interesting, because I actually had forgotten that as well, so I'm just gonna...
You're just gonna dip back into those darker colours.
Those darker tones.
Yes, so...
This week we're talking about, is art worth the price?
And Alicia's just gonna get up her notes quickly. But yeah, so I think this is based off in the first season. We talked a little bit about what makes good art and what can we define as art.
And obviously it's subjective, as is this question today. So this is just our thoughts on it. We're not necessarily going to come to a final answer. It's just kind of delving into...
Yeah, because I think a lot of people just look at the art market and like see those headlines of how much something sells for, and they're just like, oh, that's crazy. Why would it sell for that much? So we're going to try and explore that a little bit today.
Exactly.
So I've done a little bit of research on the art market, and I know you've done a bit of research as well.
I've done a bit of I've sort of pulled together my thoughts about what makes art valuable and what could potentially raise the value of a piece of art.
Nice. Shall I start with some of my stats?
Yes.
That's cool.
Oh, we love starting with stats.
We love starting with stats. So the art market, for those of you who are unsure what that means, is it's basically the collection of galleries, art fairs and auction houses that sell artist work to buyers for profit. And so the sales in 2018...
So is that individual artists selling their own work, or is that...
So that can depend. So basically an artist will have... if they're lucky, the artist, an emerging artist, will get a art dealer who wants to sell their work. So what they'll do is they'll then get in contact with galleries and they'll exhibit their work. And then, you know, once there is a well-established artist, either if the gallery owns the work, if they bought the work, the gallery's going to sell it, or the artist might be selling their own work, or a lot of the time you get it's collectors selling to other collectors. So if a family has owned a piece of work for a really long time, then they might be selling it on, and that also, like, when the artwork is made, has a big difference on, you know, the value of the artwork and how interesting it's going to be to buyers, obviously.
Right, I've just changed the angle of the screen slightly because we're both doing things that are quite small, so I've just...
We're just zooming you guys in?
You might have to shift your art forward, Leash.
Okay, no worries.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Just because I'm doing quite a small flower and yours is a smaller canvas.
We love
that.
So
it would make sense to do that.
cool.
So yes, the art market.
Yes, so that is a general overview. The art market in 2018 made sales of $64.7 billion.
Wow.
And that's up 6% from 2017.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that is a lot of money.
It is.
A lot. Most of this money, like I said, comes from small groups of wealthy collectors who are only interested in small groups of artists who are represented by a select number of specialist galleries. So it's a very small group that's actually churning out most of this money.
Yeah.
So when people think, oh, all art, it just gets sold for this ridiculous amount. No, it's only a very select few that actually manage to get to that point where their work is being sold for that.
So
amount
what
of
do you
money.
think would make someone's art valuable? As in, what are art dealers looking for? Who would they work with?
So that goes into whether it's somebody who's currently alive or somebody who's an artist's work who they've died, because obviously we've got lots of great historical artworks, and the reason why they are probably more expensive is because
you can't get it.
You can't get more of them. So when there's art itself is seen as, I have a quote here, is a market of unique objects. So they are individual pieces that won't be most of the time recreated. So by buying that work, you're buying something that nobody else can have.
Yeah.
And that's especially true when the artist isn't alive to make more of them. So that's one reason why dead artists often make the most money. Unfortunately for them, they don't get to see any of it.
That's often the case, though.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
but for living and working artists, it's a weird one. So basically, often they get picked up by a gallery out of their fine art graduate shows. So a lot of art dealers and gallerists will go to art school shows, and they will look at the people's work there. And I guess it's like, if it's unique, individual, if they feel like it's saying something that's not on the market already, because that's the whole point. It needs to be different from what everyone else is doing to stand out, because then they'll take you on, they'll exhibit you, and if you get into bigger exhibitions, or if your work does well in a group show, because that's normally how artists start, they get taken on by an art dealer, their work is taken into group shows. If they do well, they then get solo shows, and then if the solo shows get good feedback from art critics, the public, if there's curators are talking about them, saying that they're going to want to do more shows with them, then people are going to be interested in buying their work, because then galleries are going to want to hire the work off them, or it's going to be worth something for a longer amount of time. So it's weird. It's not always about what the artwork is, but it's about who decides how good it is.
As an art student, it's a bit of a detour, but as an art student, does that make you feel the need to go down a route of art that you believe could get you noticed?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, because you sort of feel like you have to do something really crazy and big to get noticed. And I think there are certainly people who do decide to do that, who are just like, I'll create a stir or a sensationalism, and I've never really been drawn to that. I just make art because I really enjoy it, and I don't really know what else I'd do with my life. But I guess you have to, either you have the aspiration to make it into the art world, you have to be really driven, you have to make those contacts, those connections, you have to show that your work is genuinely interesting, worth something. Or, a lot of artists will do a different form of artwork. They'll do commercial artwork that's more for the public, or they'll go into the arts and crafts sector, they'll have a shop blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So this is really the echelons, the fine arts market, and really only 1% of fine art graduates make it as a professional artist.
Fair.
So
it's almost like you're not expecting
it, really.
That's not what you're looking for when you do the art degree, or at least for you.
No, not for me. But I'm sure, I mean, obviously it would be really cool to have my work, in a major gallery, this and the other, but I don't know. For me personally, I've never had the goal of the monetary aspect of it.
Yeah.
But I do find it interesting. I'm sure there are people who, they want that or they need that.
Yeah.
And art is very expensive sometimes to make or to live off.
Yeah.
So, if you're using all these resources, you do want your work to sell just enough to cover it.
So like I said, I've looked at what potentially makes art valuable. So what I've looked at is the artist.
Yeah.
So if it's a particularly famous artist, I'd say, obviously disagree with me, but mainly that's historical in a way. So the old artists who really already, they're dead, but they now have a name for themselves.
Yeah, they're
if
established.
new artwork is found, discovered that is theirs, obviously that's really valuable because, you said, they're dead, they can't do it again, and yes, there's no chance of that being even replicated. So artist, quality, obviously again subjective, but it's the amount, the sort of the visual look of the art.
Yeah.
Whether it's deemed to be good.
Yeah, obviously the artist, you expect, or at least at one point you'll have expected them to be trained to a certain degree. They have some sort of skill, I guess. The thing is, it gets a little bit more confusing nowadays with modern art because so many things pass as art. You can look at our other episodes where we talk about stuff like this, but I mean, if we're talking about historical works, obviously the reason Caravaggio was so sought after was because his paintings were so realistic and dramatic. So all the churches wanted his work for their friezes and this, that and the other. So and now his work would be worth loads because we know that it was a really sought after skill and he was a really amazing artist. So
what's a frieze?
A frieze is it's kind of a specific piece that would be made painted onto the wall.
Got it. Yeah.
Like
a fresco.
You get fresco. So it's normally like a parable or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So time, obviously you can tell how much time has gone into a piece of work. So I said time and scale.
Yeah.
Because I think this is right, but Monet's Water Lily paintings, isn't it massive?
It is. It's huge.
I was just double checking. So I've been to see it when I went to Amsterdam.
Nice.
Maybe not Amsterdam. I don't really know. Anyway, so I've been to see it in the museum, and it takes up 3 walls of a room. It's absolutely massive. It's I don't know what the exact dimensions are, but I would say maybe 15 by 3 or 4 meters.
Wow.
Well, I don't know if that's true at all. It is.
I've seen
massive
a documentary on some of his work, and they can be huge. So I could imagine that's correct.
And obviously that then resources, because if the bigger it is, the more technically it costs to make.
Yeah, so canvas work normally is priced higher than, say, paperwork
and
or print
oils.
Work. Yeah,
are very expensive.
Yeah, but still, there's a certain degree where you're yes, okay, you price it higher, but then it's when it's priced at $10,000 or $15,000, you know that it's not just covering the paint.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the last thing I was saying is concept. So I feel like art, although, see, I wonder what it say. Not art museums, but like art collectors or rich people who want like a piece of art for their house. I personally presume they want something that looks nice in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
So if you're like a rich collector and you're just looking for a piece in your house, you're not going to get the latest, most controversial depiction of, I don't know, like fake news. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're right that there is definitely a certain like style or brand of art that will always, that's a little bit more aesthetic. You can see it in someone's house,
something like Monet or
Picasso. So those things will have a certain appeal, but also I think there's something about if it's very recognizable as a certain artist, that's great because someone can walk into that house and be like, whoa, that's and then quote the name. Also there are some people that just they end up being really big fans of certain artists, and even if they're not necessarily like what you deem as the most commercial, if you have someone who's a really big fan of your work and they just happen to have a lot of money, then you're going to do well for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I know so one of my inspirational artists has always been Anthony Gormley, and so he does these sculptures of himself in different like casts, and I wouldn't say they're like the thing that you'd want in your house, but a lot of people with money will buy them for like their businesses, like they'll be like in the courtyard or something, they'll just have an Anthony Gormley. So it's it's that class and status thing as well. So I think we should look at positives of the price of art, or the argument saying it's a fair price and an argument saying it's too expensive. Yeah. Do we want to take
a short
break and then we will talk about that?
Okay, see you in a bit.
Bye. Okay, positives and negatives.
How have you structured it? I probably should have checked.
That's fine. I haven't done anything like that. We've sort of covered most of my stuff about the art world. So what did you say? It was positives and negatives of.
So kind of saying it's a fair price.
Yeah.
And just as a way to structure it. So and then also saying it's too expensive.
Yes. I'm just reading back through quickly some of my stuff.
That's okay.
I'll like throw it in at some point, but yes, we can talk about
why don't we do that, and then I've got a final question, so you can always like just slip in whatever else.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, ready, go. Right,
we're back.
Okay, so
we're gonna talk about some pros and cons.
So saying art is a fair price, so most of it is one of a kind.
Yeah.
Unless it's digital artwork or like a print or something.
Yeah, but then normally for digital artwork you might buy the rights to it.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and prints tend to not be as expensive, or you'll have the original print that's like framed, and then you can buy copies that are slightly less. So
yeah. Okay, yeah. So what other sort of things do you have that might suggest that it's a fair price?
I guess you'd say, again, the medium, that would, like I was saying, that will change the price and the scale of the work.
Yeah, usually it physically does cost an artist a lot of money to make a piece.
I think also if you can tell there's been a level of research into something.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So, if it's on like a historical topic or a political topic, if you can tell that there's clearly a developed like chain of research, that can make it more viable, I guess. You're like, you've done your work, and I can see that in your final outcome. So that would make it, I guess, more appealing.
So do we want to talk about what might suggest it's too expensive?
Yeah, because some artwork these days, it reaches astronomical prices, and you just wonder.
And it's really only affordable to the super rich.
Yeah.
And arguably, I believe that's not really fair.
Yeah, they've sort of made it that way. It's a way for them. Art is a way for them to trade, like money, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just a way for them to, like, it's an investment. They can store a huge sum of money in this painting, and then
art doesn't really get less valuable.
No,
it only gets more valuable.
Yeah, most of the time. I think sometimes you'll get like a few like art market like crashes.
Yeah.
Sotheby's or like galleries tend to get hit first rather than collectors.
Oh,
because
sure.
the collectors can just hold on to their work, and then hopefully in a few years' time they'll be all right to sell it again. But yeah, no, it's art is also used in a lot of like criminal trades.
Yeah.
They might steal a piece of artwork and then use that as part of like black market trading because of the value of it. But the thing is, it's kind of a weird one, because if you've stolen the artwork, then it's not really easy to get it back into the market per se. So it's a bit questionable, but it is used a lot. And
there's always someone looking. There's always someone that will buy it.
Yeah. So it's a tricky one. It becomes less about the art itself and more about the people that are buying it.
Yeah.
And that seems unfair on the general public who might want to, step into the art world and start collecting, because the prices are so high.
They just can't.
it's unaffordable.
That kind of leads me on to something, which is a question. Do you believe individuals should be allowed to own extremely famous pieces of art? Do you think collectors should be able to buy art for their personal collection, not to be then put in a museum, but just for themselves?
I mean, I guess I sort of think you have to allow it in the sense of allowing a free market, and it's difficult though, because I think for some works, if they've got cultural heritage or historical heritage, you would think it should be allowed to be on show to the public. Like it should be in a gallery, or it should be preserved. I know that the governments of many countries, they try and invest or collect certain historical and cultural artifacts, including art.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult. It's also have you heard of the recent Gustav Klimt case?
No.
Where there was a film made about it. Basically, this woman in America, she wasn't originally from America, but basically her family owned this Gustav Klimt painting, and then when World War II happened, the Germans seized all of her family's like artworks, including this Gustav Klimt painting of her aunt.
Yes, I think I've seen the trailer for the film.
Yes, I've watched the film.
Is it good? Yeah,
I mean, if you're a bit of an art geek like me, it's not like, it's a bit of a slow moving film, but it's interesting. And so then she has to go through like all the way to Supreme Court to try and get it off the government and get it back. I think it's the Austrian government ended up taking it after the war as like a cultural heritage piece, and she's like, but it's my family's piece. So in that sort of sense, you're like, she has some emotional attachment to it.
And it technically was stolen from her.
Yeah, so although, yes, it being done by Gustav Klimt makes it a like cultural emblem of Austria, at the same time, I wouldn't disagree that it should be in the hands of the original owner. So
I'd say my thought of that is, I understand that individuals technically, in cases like that, should be allowed to own it. I just do think it's a shame when only individuals have access to such a national sort of treasure.
Well, the good thing is that a lot of the time, these artworks are too big or too precious to be just stored by the owners. So a lot of times
they are actually
on loan
galleries,
to galleries, and they will keep them and show them to the public. So that makes me happy when somebody is like, you know what, no, I'm gonna, although I own this, I'm gonna, you know, make sure that it's seen by other people, because otherwise it just seems like such a shame.
What's the point?
Yeah, there's thousands and thousands of artworks that will be in storage, either because of, you know, it's a private collector, or even galleries themselves. They accumulate so much art,
They can't put it all on
they
display.
can't put it all up, but they're not going to, you know, give $1 million work over to a smaller gallery that could house it. So they just keep it in their storage room. So yeah, there are pros and cons to all of this.
Yeah.
It's no one answer.
Did you have a last?
One other thing that I thought might be interesting to get your viewpoint on is that a 2014 study by the arts collective BFAM FA PhD, don't ask me what that stands for.
You actually nailed that one.
Yeah, found that 77.6% of artists who manage to make a living by selling their work are white, and 80% of the artists were all art school graduates. What do we think about that?
Well, it's a clear sign of privilege to then be able to sell your work, because to be able to go to art school, as we've seen earlier, does put you ahead of people. Not only you have access to the skills and the resources and the education to really develop your art, but also then you're in the prime view of art dealers.
Yeah.
So it kind of just seems like another display of white privilege. And when I say kind of, it just is. So
it's a real shame, and
it's
I was like
fair.
quite surprised. I hope that was done in 2014. I hope that we're getting a better balance now, but
I just don't think that much will have changed in 5 years.
The thing is, it's true, like a lot of galleries and art dealers go to graduate shows. It's just tradition, and it's easy to see a load of artists in one go. But that being said, I did see when I was researching that some galleries are trying to look elsewhere to diversify their roster,
Which would be obviously
but yeah,
good.
obviously we need more people of all, you know, races, genders, etc., making art, and that actually being seen.
Yeah, well, really, we need a system of education in our country where everyone has equal opportunity.
Yes,
And we just don't have that. That sort of makes me think of what do you think about England keeping pieces of art that we've stolen from other countries, and things like in the Natural History Museum, or maybe not Natural History, the National Museum maybe in London.
Yeah,
we've just got like Africa and like South America, and just entire rooms
full of other
art
countries
that we've stolen.
Yeah,
because those countries, obviously, if they had their own pieces of art, then that would boost the art industry in their country.
It really,
and then it would
and
encourage
also,
more like diverse.
You know, it's just a point of like, it's the same thing as like I was talking about that one woman. She's like, they stole my art, they can't keep it. It's this whole country is like, you stole our piece of our cultural heritage.
Exactly.
You can't keep it.
You can't keep it.
And there is a move for some more like, you know, progression and things with that.
Yeah.
But I think...
See if the battery's flashing.
It might be time for us to wrap up. We'll put photos up of our work on Instagram.
I hope you've enjoyed this. I've really enjoyed. I've never used oils before, so I've really enjoyed playing with that.
Yes, it's looking great. Loving it. Thank you so much for watching or listening, and we hope we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that went really well.